You are listening to the Enormocast.
I guess I tacitly endorse all the products I pitch from Black Diamond. I'm happy to do it. I use everything I spray about on the show. But today, I'm here to beg you, for your own good, to check out the Pipe Dream Pack from Black Diamond. You know, the one that folds out into a pad? I know, it seems like too much. It looks weird on your back, like some sort of pad-sniffing tween. But please believe me, the first time you are luxuriating on the pad while your bros wallow in the fecal dust at the base of any modern crag, you will thank me, I guarantee it. But Caloose, you say, you don't do gear reviews. This is not a gear review, it's a throated endorsement. I'm literally sad that so many people don't understand how great this pack is, how perfect it is for cragging and sport climbing, how your day improves threefold when your butt hits the pad, you lay back and sigh thinking, I am so fucking dialed right now. So that's it. No clever sound effects, no rhymey finish, no obscure pop culture reference. Just be kind to your butt and check out the Pipe Dream at blackdiamondequipment.com. You will thank me later.
We gotta get
Listen, where you playing in town? You playing here?
We're doing the Enormo Dome, whatever it is. It's terrific.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
big
the big
house. We
place,
sold
that
it out.
side of town. That's a
Very
big
nice.
place. You sold
What's
it
that,
out.
20,000?
I'll see.
We really should.
Look, you better get up there before you panic. Those pens are loose. You're very good. I have really enjoyed climbing with you. We'll make it. I don't think so. But we shall continue with style. Good weather, bad weather. No, later, anytime.
Today's show is brought to you by Black Diamond Equipment, with support from Maxim Ropes.
And the fine folks at La Sportiva. And don't forget our charter sponsor, Bonfire Coffee. Go to bonfirecoffee.com and enter Enormo at checkout for a discount on great coffee and to support the Enormocast.
And now back to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Enormocast. This is your host, Chris Caloose. It is May 13th, about 9 o'clock in Utah. I'm in Utah, America. And this is episode 175 of the Enormocast. 175. Closing in on 200. Kind of amazing. I'm sitting just past the border of Colorado and Utah on the Cisco Road into Moab, sort of. People coming from Colorado will know what I'm talking about. It's back road to the ghost town of Cisco. Just stopped over on the way to Salt Lake City to do this intro. I'm watching the cars go by out on I-70. In the distance, there's some crickets, and the last light is in the sky, a few clouds. Oh, and on today's episode, the episode you're about to listen to is Jordan Cannon and Mark Hudon, both returning guests from 2018. If you recall, Jordan was on, I think, last summer, and we talked about his attempts to free climb El Cap, his witness to the horrible accident last summer, 2 men falling to their death on the free blast. He was there to witness it. And just his sort of outlook towards climbing and kind of dealing with that, but also just his attitudes about his reverence for the past. And then if you go back to, I think, May, can't remember the numbers of these, but there was an interview with Mark Hudon and Max Jones, 2 kind of overlooked visionaries from the 70s, from the late 70s, and were a couple of the first guys to go up on El Cap as free climbers and attempt to free climb the Salate Wall, and in fact, almost free climb the entire Salate Wall. So those guys are back on the show. Jordan got in touch with me, and he was so psyched about this road trip and the preparations that him and Mark were doing to get Mark, who's 63 years old, to climb the Freerider this spring. And I wanted to put this out because they're actually right in the thick of it. They've got some camp stashed, and I believe they're resting up to go up there as I'm recording this in California. So it should coincide coming out with Mark's attempt to do the Freerider as a free climb and lead most of or all the hard pitches, which is super cool. 63 years old, and he's going to be supported by a 24-year-old. Jordan proposed coming on the show and talking about this road trip and this preparation that they're doing. And I had just done a 3-person conversation with Jacob Cook and Bronwyn Hodges, and I had a lot of fun. You know, threesomes are pretty good, pretty fun. So anyway, as soon as Jordan proposed this to me, I thought, what the hell, come on, let's talk about climbing some more. So that's what you got here today, is a cool discussion of 2 climbers from vastly different generations working together towards some goals on El Cap and having a lot of fun doing it. One little thing before I switch to that interview is it's pretty certain that we're headed up to the International Climbers Festival in Lander. Second weekend of July, the dates, the tickets, the lineup, everything else is at climbersfestival.org. Go check that out. I'm not doing anything official with the ICF. Some years I have, other years I haven't. But we're going to be up there hanging out, and when I say we, I mean the entire entourage, getting the band back together. Me and Steve Dilk, you'll recall from the Taps, as well as a few other episodes, I believe, and our other buddy Simon Longacre, who I think has also been on a show, maybe a listener mail or something like that. Anyway, we'll be up there making the scene. Going to be at the trade fair, I think, selling some T-shirts and some hats. Mostly just probably giving away beer, even though maybe we're not supposed to. But yeah, come check us out if you see us at the fest. If you see me at the fest, come say hi. It's always been a great way to talk to listeners of the show and sort of spread the love. And of course, we'll be doing a fair amount of drinking. So I'm prepping for that as we speak. Okay. Let's do this. A fun, kind of freewheeling climbing conversation with the legendary Mark Hudon and I believe soon to be legendary Jordan Cannon. Sportiva pretty much invented the downturn shoe with the introduction of the Testarossa ages ago. Too radical, cried the olds. That looks like it hurts, cried the fearful. Ooh, me likey, whispered a prepubescent Jonathan Segrist. And guess who went on to set the climbing world on fire in his testes? Hint, it wasn't Grandpa Flatfoot waving his hexes around and mumbling gear beta at a stump. And soon every company followed suit and steep climbs opened up to the masses. Now Sportiva took the venerable Testarossa and under the direction of some of the best climbers in the world, did a redesign. The new Testarossa sports better heel hooking security and the famous P3 tech to help retain that downturn fit. So check out how the radical just got more radicaler at Sportiva.com or your favorite local shop. Sportiva is a proud sponsor of the Enormocast. So we're good to go. So you guys are on a great American road trip right now, a climbing road trip. Can you give me a little recap, one of you guys?
Mark, take it away.
Okay, so March 10th.
March 10th.
Showed up in Joshua Tree. I was coming off of 3 months in Hawaii, and so wearing, or not Mexico. Hawaii, Mexico, wearing flip-flops and shorts, and I entered into 30-degree weather with a lot of wind and occasional snow, and people were still climbing.
So it was a rough transition for him.
I thought that was ridiculous. So Joshua Tree for a little while, which was fun because I hadn't been there since the early couple years of the 80s.
All right.
And then we went to Red Rocks, and so that was fun. I've been there a few times in the last few years. And so,
all right, so back that up. So how did you guys end up deciding to climb together? What's going on? Because it's a little bit of an odd pairing.
Yeah, well, I met Mark last summer in Tahoe at an REI climbing event. They kind of got all these old school locals together from the Tahoe area together for this event. We all ended up going climbing, and that was the first time I had met Mark and our friend Don Welsh, at the Snowshed Wall, where him and Max and all these guys have all these first ascents. Our friend Don brought out a pair of EBs and a Swami belt, and they got me fired up to try and, repeat some of the routes that they did in their original style. So yeah, we just linked up climbing that day. got Mark to belay me on monkey paws, wearing that gear.
And lowering off, with the waistband, like we used to do back in the day.
Right. So you were trying to lead it in this crap?
Yeah, he tried to convince me to let him give me a hip belay.
Okay.
Which I was not down with.
That's going way back, though.
That's going way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
have been exciting.
Yeah.
That was a super cool day for me to be able to, one, climb with my heroes on the routes that they put up, being belayed by them and climbing them in as similar as a style as I was able to or willing to. I had just gotten back from my spring season in Yosemite and was kind of like settling into Tahoe and Reno for the summer. And I had been climbing with Max Jones a little bit in the gym, and we started climbing at Snowshed together. And he told me Mark was around, and I hadn't met Mark yet, so I was like really looking forward to running into him out there. And yeah, I happened to meet him at that event, and we kind of had a great time climbing that day and hit it off. And you actually hadn't been climbing all that much, though, leading up to that.
No, I had done my usual Baja kiteboarding winter, and I was just mountain biking a lot, and I wasn't really climbing too much. A friend came out from Baltimore, and it was probably the first time I had climbed. Heck, it was probably mid-July or something like that, maybe even August. It was the first time I had climbed all year even. And I was sort of going, climbing, yeah, I'm here climbing, I didn't really have any plans or anything. And then, and so Jordan got psyched to climb, and he wants to go do all this route and that route and everything. And I'm going, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Well, within the first thing I wanted to ask Mark when I met him was, his plans to go back for the Freerider.
I was saying, well, I think I'm sort of done with it. I had sort of a cluster on it last time, and the thing's getting so crowded, and it would just take me, I would have to devote my life to it, for me to have to devote a year to it.
Right.
Because I was aware of the attempts that he had given on it, and, was kind of following loosely over the years, and knew that he had gotten close, but had to bail for whatever reason on his last attempt. So I kind of assumed, I was like, that he was going to be like, oh yeah, I'm planning to go back for it this spring or next fall or whatever. And it wasn't on his mind at all, really. I think I kind of brought it back to the forefront of his mind, and
yeah, that shit gets tiring.
It was sort of a snake bit kind of thing for me, because I would go up and it would rain, and I would go up and the route would just be clusterized with people who didn't really know what they were doing, and then I would get all training, and I would I blew a bicep tendon, and so it kept going and going and going, that it just wasn't happening, and finally I just went, well, you know what? Maybe I'm just not going to free climb El Cap. Yeah. I had sort of resigned myself to that I was never going to free climb El Cap. But then Jordan was psyched about it, and he says, and I told him, I said, well, I need someone who I can go climb a lot with, and I'm an old guy. I don't want to haul it. I can't haul and free climb the thing. So I need someone who's going to just haul the whole freaking route.
Okay.
And so Jordan immediately goes, I am your man.
I mean, this is like the first day we met, I didn't know how serious he was. He didn't know how serious I was. But, turns out we were both pretty serious, because here we are. But yeah, he was like, yeah, well, it'd be this big thing, and I'd need a dedicated partner. And I was like, dude, I'll climb that with you. Yeah, it'd be super fun. So, I could already tell within an hour of hanging out and climbing that we could make it happen.
Well, my question for you is that, you're on this retirement road trip, mixing your life between kite surfing and whatever other beach activities that go along with that, and then climbing. So even as a guy who's not doing that, but I'm 48 and I still want to try to climb rad stuff, I'm always climbing with young guys.
Yeah.
It's just how it works for the most part. I got a couple good partners in Carbondale that are my age, but I tend to, I was just crack climbing a couple weeks ago with this 25-year-old dude.
Yeah, there's just less and less guys my age around that can do it. They're starting to get retired and all that, and their kids are more off in college, and so they're getting more free time, but their bodies are broken down and they can't go do it, or their wife won't let them go climb around for 2 months at a time.
Right.
So
when Jordan said that he would do it, out of the blue, were you just like, oh, okay, I guess I gotta or what were your thoughts about like pulling you, out of retirement off the Freerider? Because you had basically said, yeah, this is too much for me. It's what happened to me on El Cap last year.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'd have to move back to Yosemite. Like this,
yeah.
I can't just like come out of Colorado and come up on this thing anymore.
Right.
Maybe 20 years ago, but not anymore.
Well, I hadn't been climbing too much that year. And so after that first meeting with Jordan, we started climbing more. One of our first things was we went down to the Hulk and did, it wasn't Astro Hulk from car to car, which, I hadn't been climbing and I hadn't been hiking. So marching into the Hulk, climbing the route, going to the top, coming all the way down and hiking out in the day pretty much crippled me.
Yeah, completely off the couch. It was badass.
Yeah.
I was inspired.
But just on the climb, me, I've been climbing long enough that I can look at someone and go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing.
Right.
And we had a similar technique, a similar safety level.
Okay.
A similar, get to the anchor, put the guy in belay, exchange gear, and get going. We're not fiddle fucking around,
Right.
So I enjoyed that. Sort of one thing at my age too, and me being particularly me, when I go climbing with someone, quite frequently I am the leader. I'm the hard guy.
Right.
And so it was really nice to give up that role and to be the second guy and to let Jordan think about, oh, we got to do this so the ropes don't get tangled, or okay, I'll leave this harder pitch, or just take care of those little details. I didn't have to worry about if the ropes got stuck, that I was going to have to be the guy that was going to have to go up there and get them.
Right. It was at least 50-50 anyway.
Yeah, at least yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I climbed with Hayden Kennedy for the same reason. Like, it was just a pleasure. Like, even if I was on something really hard that was testing me, there was at least a voice in the back of my head that was like, well, if I can't do this, it's not like we're stuck up here.
Yeah,
like, I'll just come down and we'll switch the rope and Hayden will do it and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a long time coming for that feeling again.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm the same way. I spend a lot of time climbing as the person that's in charge of all that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we ended up, seeing each other more at Donner and doing routes of Donner, and then planning these missions to the Hulk where we actually went in and camped and did routes. And, I love long routes. And then the Hulk is so beautiful. And so I was able to Jordan and I were able to start doing these routes. He was repeating some routes just so I could sort of get some mileage under me. And so we had a great all summer. We had a great time climbing. And all the while we're sort of like going, okay, next spring we're going to start here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this, and we're going to sort of march towards Freerider.
Right.
And when we met in the summer, I think we were both coming from a fairly similar place. Both relocating to Tahoe for the summer. He hadn't been climbing. I was coming from Yosemite, but. I was trying to get back into the scene. We had a similar schedule. Mark lives in his van. Currently single, so it was not much holding him back. He had the freedom to climb.
Currently single.
Yeah.
Well, looking.
Yeah. Sure.
Me too. So
just wait till you're done with the Freerider.
Yeah. That's what's supposed to happen.
That's what I keep saying. Yeah. I say that we'll both get girlfriends after we both free climb El Cap.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's how it works.
That's
totally how it works.
That's the summer goal.
Yeah.
But
so what do you? We're just talking about the benefits, and I understand them because, like I said, I had sort of a similar relationship in a way, not as intense, but I could just anytime I needed to. Unfortunately, Hayden passed away. We had some plans, and it's now there's these routes out there that I'm like, well, I guess I'm never going to do those because he was my guy, So what are you getting out of it? Jordan, you think or what were you thinking through the summer of how is this getting along with your goals and your schedule?
Well, I've always had a hard time finding really good dedicated partners that I get along with, and so I kind of was going into Tahoe for the summer, looking for somebody that I could count on and start climbing with and plan these routes and trips with, and Mark kind of became that guy really quickly. Not only is is he like my hero as it is, but we just happened to hit it off and operate on a similar level and climb similarly. And then also, I was coming out of Yosemite from that accident, and I was looking to mellow things out a little bit and try and like rebuild my confidence in myself and the gear and all that. And it turned out that he was kind of trying to do the same thing. He had some, I found out, some experience aid climbing and pulling cams, and he wasn't trusting the gear about the same way. And so we were kind of like both building our confidence together.
Oh, cool.
And getting back into climbing, and then just having a blast at the same time. So yeah. What I get out of climbing with Mark, super reliable partner. We have a great time and we get shit done. More so, surprisingly, than I have with other partners my age.
Right.
Yeah. So
what do you think the quality is of that? Like, just because he's ready to go anytime?
Yeah, I think we have the same amount of desire. And we can, when he says that, I trust his ability as much as he trusts mine. When he says he can do something, I believe it, and vice versa.
Right.
And so it's really empowering to have that faith in your partner and know that they have faith in you too. It really gives you the confidence to go for it and know that they got your back.
Right. So the summer went on.
And just not so much babysitting,
Yeah.
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 And like, having to feel like, Mark was saying he gets to take the back seat, but he could fully take the front seat if he really wanted to, if I was feeling timid or scared or tired or whatever, so we can kind of feed off of each other.
Right. Well, in terms of skills, operating on the wall, operating on the climb, he's got more experience than you.
Yeah, totally. So obviously,
if you stripped all the gear away, like, he still knows what to do because he freaking climbed without the gear.
Yeah,
back
exactly.
in the day. In terms of, there's maybe like a pitch that he can't free climb that you can free climb.
Right.
But otherwise, it's you guys are on the same level.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Mark's been climbing twice as long as I've been alive. Right. So there's obviously a lot to still be learned from him, from his experience.
Uh-huh.
It's been nice. Jordan just said, I've been climbing forever, and so I'm really, really relaxed up there. There's not much that bothers me, and I know how to set up anchors, and I'm relaxed up there. And it's really nice to see a guy Jordan's age who's also just as relaxed up there. We don't worry about 2-bolt anchors. 2 bolts are 2 bolts. They're not going to pull. We don't worry about it. We clip in, tie 2 knots, rumble, go. We dangle around and we sit on ledges and watch the view, and it's all very casual, very, we're always safe. We're never unsafe, but it's just very relaxed and easy and natural for us to be that way.
Right.
Yeah, and it allows us to focus just on the climbing too, and not have all this other stuff in the back of your head that you're kind of stressing out about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it seems like we're able to do these routes relatively easily, or with minimal effort, really.
It's really fun because we can just concentrate about the climbing. Yeah. We don't...
Not the logistics or the planning, because that all comes really naturally.
Yeah, just the rack, the rope, just how everything works, just when we get to an anchor, we set it up the same way, and we have a sling dangling. So the second comes up, he clips into the sling, so we can take the gree off the anchor and put it on our harness, so transfer him so that person's going to be leading next. And so, we've got the rack hanging there. We've got the haul line, the tag line hanging there with the mini track ready to go. It's just like, what else were you doing? You should have been. Yeah, we just have the system dialed.
Yeah, it's interesting how much extra stuff people bring to
totally.
Climbing.
We talk about that all the time,
right.
And we see it all the time too. We end up climbing by a lot of parties on other routes or passing them on the route we're on, and seeing their reaction to how fast our systems are going up or down, and then sometimes we just blaze up a climb and we're just like, wow, that was amazing. I can't believe it. It was like so little effort.
Right. Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes.
It's kind of wild, to see sort of, everything that, not just gear and systems wise, but also sort of mental baggage that everybody brings along with
Yeah,
them.
totally.
Like,
why I always laugh, Jordan has, we have an anchor kit, and Jordan's anchor kit is one, small locking beaner and one regular wire gate, paperclip. And so, he'll lock the gate, and I go, what the hell's going to happen? If something really, really, really freaking weird happens, well, then locking the gate will matter. But in 9,000 cases out of 10,000, locking the gate is not.
You mean having the two beaners versus, and then also locking?
Yeah, also locking.
Right.
It's like, tell me, search the annals of climbing history and tell me that that an accident happened because the beaner was not locked.
Right.
A serious biz accident.
I can be hard on my partners because, one, I like to climb a lot. So that can be challenging for some people. If I'm ready, I'm raging to go and they want it to rest or something, that's hard. That's hard for me, but I'm also very particular with my systems and my planning and my gear. And Mark is super accepting, doesn't try to change that, just lets me do my thing.
He lets you lock the carabiner.
Yeah. No, I don't even care. I don't even care about that.
Well,
I lock it 50% of the time. But we were top roping in Joshua Tree, and one of our friends set up a top rope anchor with 4 lockers and locked every single one of them. Mark went up there and undid them, and
I unlocked all the beaters.
I love that shit. I totally don't care either. I'm it doesn't bother me.
They were all opposed and everything.
Right.
That.
I get what you're
come on,
saying.
give me a break.
Yeah.
But as far as Jordan likes the rack a certain way.
It would be ironic though.
Well, it would be
if
ironic.
You finally did die because you didn't lock your beater.
But we're not planning on it.
But it isn't going to happen.
All right, yeah.
But anyway, so Jordan likes his stuff a certain way, and I'm done. I don't need the ego gratification of doing it my way. I can do it someone else's way. I don't really care. If that's what makes him happy, sure, whatever. That's what we'll take. Well, that's the way we'll rack it. I don't care.
But it's also not that far off from your system either.
Sure.
So
yeah.
It works.
Yeah. So it's not some weirdo little thing, but it's just, I'm all done with this ego part of climbing. I don't need that. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to make myself bigger. I'm just out there enjoying every single freaking minute. And if Jordan, the way he racks, if that makes him happy, great. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting you brought up your ego, because that was one of the biggest things I noticed when I first met Mark, was how I didn't feel like, he was sizing me up or that I needed to prove myself to him. He was just, had his ego completely detached from that whole game that we play, and kind of just made it feel a lot more easygoing, and made me feel a lot more comfortable, being myself and climbing with him.
Yeah, that's the wisdom of the ages right there.
Yeah, totally.
Down to the
trying to learn from it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So,
we climbed all summer. We had a great time. And then, I quit my job at the beginning of October. He quit, or, your seasonal job ends at the beginning of October as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both had Yosemite plans. So we met up in Yosemite for a little bit, did some climbing, and then went our separate ways at the beginning of November, all with the plan to, meet back up in the spring. Once he got back from Mexico, and once I was done doing my thing. And so, that was kind of how we got brought back to Joshua Tree.
But it wasn't time for to go up on El Cap yet this fall.
I went up on Golden Gate and tried that, and unfortunately was, not successful on the A5 Traverse. And Mark, ironically, was, doing an aid route on the east side around the same time, and I had planned to hike his or help him hike his bags down. So we topped out, I think, a day or two before, and I didn't send, and so I was physically and mentally exhausted, but then also just disappointed that I didn't accomplish my goal. And I was like, well, do I go back this season? And if so, with who? I gotta, figure, and that was all stressing me out. And so I kind of hike up to the top of El Cap all bummed. I'm telling Mark what's up, and he, just topped out his route. He's all psyched. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I really want to go back and do this route, but I don't know how to do it. He's like, well, if you wait for the spring, I'll do it with you. And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. That kind of just took the stress off my shoulders, and So we planned for that. I helped him hike his bags down, and then we climbed the nose in a day like a few days later.
Right. Is that the first time you climbed the nose in a day?
No, I had done it in 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Leading every pitch, right?
Yeah, I led every pitch.
Nice.
Yeah, in 15 hours. And so Jordan and I we did it in 10 and a half hours.
Nice.
And I was pretty hammered. I didn't contribute as much as I should have, but I was only like 3 days off of Aurora, so I was.
Yeah, it was kind of my fault for pushing to do it sooner.
But
who'd you do Aurora with? Did you solo it?
No, Scott Richards.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was great. Yeah, we had a good old time.
Yeah, it was funny. My block was Dolt was going to be Camp 6, so a pretty big block. I was going to lead like the middle of the route, and I was trying to free climb up Boot Flake, and I was just really tired. And so I did the whole thing, and I swung over to the ledge and Eagle Ledge, and Jordan came over, and I said, "Hey, could you just lead a couple of pitches here? I'm really hammered." So we got up to Camp 4, and I said, "Oh man, I'm tired. I'm really tired."
I felt bad.
And so Jordan goes, "Do you want to go down?" And I go, "Fuck no." And so I led like the next 5-9 pitch, and I led the Great Roof, and then Jordan led a couple of pitches, and I led the 8 up to the glowering spot. So because 8's my thing, I can bang up it, And so then I just said, okay, well, I'm just going to Jumar as fast as I can and clean and get us the heck out of here. So we did it in 10 and a half hours, which was pretty fun.
Yeah. Right. You led the glowering spot, and then I think I took it to the top from there.
Yeah.
And so I had just come off Golden Gate with Callan, who you had just met. And he's kind of, he can get very flustered with gear, tying a bunch of backup knots, and then the rope ends up getting stuck, and I have to like talk him through these events, and that's all fine, I'm willing to do that. But it was really nice, like Mark was saying, to be able. It was really windy after I had short fixed above the changing corners, and he was jugging, and the rope was blown around the corner. It got stuck on this flake, and it was like no issue. Mark, he's like, "Hang on, the rope's stuck," and so I just like clip into a piece and hang there. He zips down, he's bouncing all around casually, gets it free, jugs up, and he's like, "Okay, go." And I was like, that was just so fucking cool to watch. No stress. I didn't have to tell him what to do. It was like didn't stress him out at all. I was just like dealing with what happened, and we kept going and climbed to the top, and I was like, yeah, Mark's the fucking man.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. I spent a lot of time dangling around it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Sure.
Just kind of to re-emphasize the comfort level we both have up there.
Yeah. I mean, I know that feeling of just like, it gets stuck or whatever, and you're just resigned, and you're like, all right, I guess I got to go down and deal with it. It's not some epic.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
I mean, I haven't been climbing that long. I haven't had that many partners, so I really haven't experienced what a really good partner is like. I've had good partners, but I haven't had a really good partner.
Right.
Mark's kind of the first, so it's like pretty eye-opening.
Right.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you guys bailed for the winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I hung around Yosemite for like another month, trying to ironically repeat some stuff that him and Max had done in the 70s, because they got me psyched on it. Like Hangdog Flyer, for example. They're telling me to go do that, so I was toiling away on stuff like that. And then I, did my own trip to Mexico, and then ended up hanging out in San Diego for most of the summer, or most of the winter. And then, so yeah, it just made sense for us to meet up in Joshua Tree. I'd done some climbing there in the fall, and then when I found out that he hadn't been there since the 80s, I was like, dude, that'd be so fun to go. Because that's kind of my old stomping grounds, coming from Southern California. So, yeah, I did like 2 weeks of climbing in Bishop, and then met up with him in Joshua Tree, and we kind of started the whole trip from there.
All right, so we left off, you went to Vegas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark didn't, I mean, you had a good time in Joshua Tree. I felt bad for him because, I'm young and dumb, so I have a high tolerance for stupidity and suffering. And Mark, he knows better, so he's like not willing to, he's like, if it's cold and it's not fun, I'm not going to climb. Where I'm like willing to still go out there and hammer it.
Right.
So he's coming from Mexico from shorts and a t-shirt, and he's like having to wear my huge puffy to belay me and stuff. So I was like, oh, this isn't ideal, but we did have a few really good days in there, and I got to do a ton of climbing that I wanted to do. So,
and I was sort of, you know how your feet, you've got to fit back into your shoes again, and I have a whole hangboard set up on my rig that I can break out, and so I was actually pretty good doing hangboard workouts down in Baja, you know, on before kiteboarding or after kiteboarding. I mean, I was doing it at least 2 days a week. I actually had some pretty good finger strength. But I just, you know, I wasn't feeling really in tune, and my feet were hurting, and it was freezing freaking cold. And so I was just going, hey, Jordan, okay, when you're my age, fun is job one, and difficulty and all that is job two, you know?
Right.
So if I ain't having fun, I'm not really that interested.
yeah.
You know, so, but I mean, we did have some nice days, and we did do some great climbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it started there, and it actually got better and better and better. You know, it got warmer. My feet started fitting into my shoes better. I was getting more all body strength. And we did fun things like some of those routes on the Black Velvet Wall. We just ran up them, and. Not that we were like trying to climb them fast. We were just climbing them. We're just, you know, they're not that technically hard, and you can just step and go a lot. And with our little technique, everything just goes really fast, and so we can bang up a route and bang down a route just really fast. Mm-hmm. So we ended up doing a lot of things and just getting a lot of things done pretty fast, pretty quickly, and pretty easily, actually. So it was really, I mean, we really started to click right there. We got into each other's systems and understood how each other wanted to do this, and so things started happening right there.
Yeah, we definitely hit our stride in Red Rock. I mean, partially because it's a multi-pitch zone primarily, you know, right. And that's what we like doing the most. Joshua Tree's great, you know. We did one multi-pitch route there, like 2-pitch thing on the South Astrodome, you know. And then we were like sick, first multi-pitch of the season, but I think our energy and excitement levels went up significantly once we got to Red Rock, and then naturally got into our groove then. But I also learned how to adjust my system based on what Mark was saying about, you know, fun's number one. And so I kind of catered to that, and I see what he's getting at.
Did you get
a lot more fun?
Did you get you can come clean? Did you get frustrated?
No, not really. No? Not at all. Well, because I kind of know what I signed up for. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I signed up as Mark's partner to help him prepare for the Freerider, so it's my job to cater to him a little bit.
Right.
It was
so I was like very aware, you know, I want to do a good job. I want to be a good partner.
It was pretty funny too. I mean, Jordan's a great guy. He's really perceptive, and he really, you know, respects me, but he holds me in higher esteem than I really deserve, because he only sees me as being like a 30-year-old, and so that I could keep up with him.
Right.
And so I would go, Jordan, I'm an old guy. I need like 3 days. You know, I mean, my body, my muscles just don't simply repair that fast. I mean,
right.
You're asking a 63-year-old fucking guy to keep up with a 24-year-old.
Right.
Well, Mark's so young at heart, so it's easy to forget how old he actually is.
Just like hammer.
And he does keep up really well.
But it's been good. Like Jordan wants to go do 513 routes and hard 512s and all that, which, you know, those are hard for me. I mean, I can do those, but this could take me a while. Well, Jordan can do, you know, 12D on his second try. He on sites 13A, you know, so that stuff, I mean, I'm not, you know, the best day of my life would be something like that, but I'm totally willing to go up on those routes if there's 1 or 2 pitches, 511, 512 that I can climb, and then I'll try to climb most of the 12D, and I'll hang a couple times, and I'll do it. I'm completely happy to go do that, right, so that he can go, you know, accomplish some of his goals.
Right.
But also it helps me to like learn to fight, you know, get back into that fight mode that I know I'm going to have to be into when I get up on Freerider.
Yeah, by me making him climb tired and with a little rest days.
Right,
you know,
and that
to try harder.
Yeah, that too. You know, so that was always...
Well, because that was kind of that was what I was saying all along when we started climbing at Donner Summit. I mean, you know, we did the Hulk car to car for the first time, and you had, like I said, basically coming off the couch. And then within a month, he was climbing 12 plus like no problem. And so I was like, Mark, I'm not worried about you being strong enough to climb Freerider. I'm worried about you having the endurance to climb 5 hard days in a row on Freerider and not, get shut down. Yeah. So that's kind of my whole thing that I've learned how to approach big wall climbing is, to be able to climb hard things when you're tired and really like learn how to dig deep and see what you're made of. And so I think we've kind of like balanced that out climbing together over the past month and a half, and I think he's finally found that and realized that he's got some fight and can still crank when he's tired. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see in myself too. You know,
right.
Just be myself.
Yeah.
So
what did you get done in anything super gnar and Red Rocks?
To be honest, I mean, we had a ton of fun rambling some 510 and 511 routes, and we had some harder routes that we both were really interested in. I haven't done a whole lot of climbing there. But the hard sandstone climbing in Red Rocks is really particular and really height dependent.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to note that I'm like 5'11", Mark's 5'1".
Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of climbs that, I mean, he couldn't do because he wasn't tall enough, not because he wasn't, necessarily strong enough. So I had a better time, on paper sending.
Yeah. Did you guys go up that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super heighty.
Yeah. I mean, so I had a great time. Like, we went and did our best day in Red Rock. We went and climbed this old school J. Smith, like ground up first ascent on the Black Velvet Wall. And we rambled that, and then we went over to the Velvet Tongue, which was on my list. Mark had tried it before and kind of written it off, but he was totally willing to go up there and support me and belay me on it. And I was able to red point it that day, and we had a great time. And that was kind of the general mode for our time in Red Rocks.
That's so funny because HK and I climbed that thing.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. I mean, that was like...
And I couldn't figure it out.
That was one of my...
leapt over there and just slithered off.
Yeah. That was a really great day.
Yeah.
And then we went and did this route called Jetstream.
Oh yeah, HK and I did that too.
Yeah. It actually wasn't, the experience wasn't that great because it was insanely windy and insanely cold. And the crux pitch is only 2 pitches off the ground, and I was able to do it second try, but Mark was like freezing at that point, and I really wanted to keep going. So I was like, well, I'm like sending, But I didn't want to make him suffer. But we kind of he agreed, and we kind of suffered up there together. And he led the 12A pitch after that. It was like his first 512 trad lead on this trip, and totally crushed it in horrible conditions after he'd complained about not liking to climb in the cold. And I was totally impressed. And so we did that route, and that was great. And then we ended on Rainbow Country.
Right.
Same thing. I had a better day on that route.
I was getting tired, and it was height dependent.
Yeah, that's a hard crux on that.
And I was just frustrated. Sure. I want to climb it. I don't want to just pull myself up it. But it was just holes that I just simply could not reach.
Yeah, that's it.
And I felt bad. I don't want it to be my show, Mark. Struggling to do the things I want to climb. I want to climb things together and both be able to send them. So we left Red Rock after that and headed to the Grail, and we kind of had a conversation there. He's like, okay. He's like, Red Rocks was fun, but we need to, tone things back a little. I need to rest and build the confidence back up, and then kind of go from there.
And that's where I really got you into the fun is job one.
Yeah, totally.
I need to be having fun. Totally. I mean, I could climb I can't climb 514 tomorrow, but if I could climb 514 tomorrow, it would have to be fun. I'm not going to suffer too much to climb 514. If it was really fun, then I would put more effort into it.
Right.
And it was great. I mean, the day after we had that conversation over dinner, I mean, he did 12C second try, on-sighted this long 12A and long 12B, and just got totally psyched.
Yeah.
And that kind of and we rested a good amount too. And then I think that kind of cast us off into the next areas of our road trip, feeling super strong and confident all the way around.
Right.
So then we went to Zion, and I years ago I started working on. I wanted to do Monkey Finger, and so I'd been up there with. Never gotten too high, but varying degrees of success, and hadn't completed it. But it's something I always wanted to do, and so. And I've done Shoon's Buttress, but Jordan hadn't done either one of those. And he said, okay, well, we're going to do Monkey Finger, Shoon's Buttress, and we're going to do Moonlight Buttress. And I went,
after a rest day.
Yeah, and I went, oh yeah, that'll.
A rest
and he's talking about like doing those 3 routes in like 4 days.
Yeah,
and I'm going, I need 10 days to do those 4 routes. I mean, it's a Hail Mary pass if I can do Moonlight, and to do Monkey Finger and Shoons in a day is, I mean, you're out of your mind. And so. So we rested, and there was one day it rained, and so we couldn't go, but it was sort of minimizing our time. And so,
because there was more rain in the forecast.
Yeah. So Jordan said, okay, well, let's go do Monkey Finger, and then we'll go do Shoons in the afternoon. And I had done Shoons, and I thought, okay, yeah, I can do that. So it was good. I led the first pitch of Monkey Finger, and we banged up that, and then Jordan led the Monkey Finger Crack, which I was real happy to do it on my second try, and so that made me real happy. And so we wrapped down there and got out of there and hiked over to Shoons and did Shoons, and we both banged up that. So that was a really good day. And
yeah, I was psyched because that's my favorite thing to do, climb 2 new routes on site, like linking them in a day. And we get to the top, and Mark tells me that's his first link up ever. And I was like, are you serious? Like, he's like, oh, I've linked routes at the Cookie and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't count, dude. That's just cragging.
Yeah.
So that was totally cool, and because it's
funny you say that, because the link up does feel really modern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a total modern thing. I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always joking, why ruin 2 good climbs?
Yeah, why not just enjoy, hang out, have some beers afterwards?
Well, that's the thing, because Monkey Finger didn't take us that long, and then we have the whole afternoon, and it's like, I'm not ready to stop climbing yet. Let's go do something else.
Like after we did Monkey Finger,
that's the benefit of being able to climb fast.
Right.
That, we got the rest of the day. It's only noon. What the hell?
Yeah.
And so we went over there.
I had also lured him into the idea. I was like, well, Mark, we're running out of time, so we really kind of got to, make up for it. So I was like, if we climb Shoons and Monkey Finger in a day, we can take 2 rest days. and then climb Moonlight. And he was psyched about that.
Throw a dog a bone,
So all day I was like,
so
Mark, 2 rest days if we keep going. And so we did that, and we were both like pretty tired, and we're like, sweet, psyched, we get to rest tomorrow. But then there, rain was coming in even sooner, and so I was like, well, Mark, if we really want to do Moonlight, we really only have one last day, and that means that we're gonna have to, only take 1 rest day and then climb Moonlight. And he was willing to do that.
Yeah, and so I'm just resigning myself to just the full on Batmaning up the rope and falling on every single pitch. And I mean, I was gone. I was going to drown crossing the river and, all that.
You didn't even want to go up on Moonlight initially, though. I had to tell him. Well, I said that we could take 5 rest days if we did Moonlight.
Afterwards.
Well, we drove by the first day. There's 5.
You already owe him an extra.
Right. I know.
We drove by the first day. There's 5 parties on it.
Right.
We drove by the next day. There was 4 parties on it. I'm going, oh yeah, this is going to be great. So we went over and we got a pass to drive in to the park early, and so the alarm goes off, and I wake up and make breakfast. I do my little Spanish lesson, and we drive over there, and it's dark, and we hike along the river and find a spot and take off our pants and hike through the river, which turned out to be just great. So I didn't drown in the river, which that was a plus.
Nice.
And then we hiked to the base and
have a lot of people drown in the river crossing over the Moonlight Mountains?
I don't think ever.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's like locking carabiners. Sure. Something could happen.
It could happen.
I mean, it has been a high snow rain here, so.
Yeah. So we're at the base, and we don't spend too much time organizing because we've already got it organized. And so Jordan took off and leading, and now the first shuttles are showing up there at Big Bend. Well, the first shuttle comes, nobody gets off.
Oh, cool.
And so we're going, yeah. And so we get up higher, and we're at that traverse, and a couple more shuttles are coming by. Nobody gets off, and we're going, yay, baby. Yeah. And it's a nice day. It is nice.
Yeah, and it was supposed to potentially rain in the afternoon.
And there's not
it was
someone
totally
in a
great.
poor ledge in the middle of the
we got the whole thing to ourselves.
Everything just started lining up in our favor.
Yeah.
And I had done the route twice before, but had never been able to red point it because there was too much rush. There was an aid party above us. There was a free party below us. And I fell on the crux corner both times, and it didn't make sense to red point it. But then once we realized that all these things were in our favor, I was like, Mark, we can take our sweet time on this thing, no stress. Let's just like have fun, take it casual. We hauled a pack so we could bring more food, water, and clothes, and be comfortable, and that really set the tone for the day.
Yeah. Well, and me, I'm still expecting the debacle on the route, so I just thought, okay, I'm going to technique the shit out of it, and every single move is going to be the most perfect move I can make. And so that's what I did. And I mean, that's something I can do well. I use my feet really well. I can stand in balance really well. I can climb without strength really well. And I'm just going, okay, you've done this. You can do this. And so every single move was just a perfect move. And so we ended up getting to the base of the corner, and then I just looked up at that crack, and I'm going, oh, shit, holy moly. I went, okay, one move at a time, one perfect move, and then another perfect move, and then another. And I just did it slow, and I was just always assessing my strength, assessing my footholds, assessing my finger locks, and just plugging gear and going, oh, all right, okay, this ain't too bad, this ain't too bad, this ain't too bad. Finally get to the anchor, and it was no big deal. And I thought, that was pretty cool.
And I could tell that Mark had, this idea of Moonlight built up in his head, that it's this, really big, hard route. And, it used to be 13B when Croft and Woodward did the first ascent, but it has gotten a lot easier, which is kind of another topic. But I had a similar experience when I did it for the first time with Brad. I was like, oh, fuck, like so many pitches of 512, and you just think you're getting way in over your head. But after climbing it that first time, I was like, oh, it's actually, not as bad as you might think. It's still difficult, of course, but you know what I mean? So I could see that Mark had that, and I was kind of trying to encourage him, like, nope, this pitch is hard, you got to try for it, but it's also not going to be as bad as you think. And once he kind of started to realize that, he was like, oh, fuck, I can climb Moonlight, and I was waiting for that to kick in. Ultimately, it did on the crux pitch.
Well, and then Jordan went up the crux pitch and was placing the gear and working, taking every now and then and working it, and he worked out the little flare. He didn't want to blow it, and so we were going to pull the rope, and he was going to lead it. But I wanted to get a little bit of practice on it also before I went up there. And so we had clipped the rope into that. There's that aid anchor on the left-hand side, and I was just going to go, do my best. And I went, okay, do your best. And I did the same thing, and I just blew right through it. And I just climbed right up to the 8 anchor and a little bit further to a no hands rest. And I'm going, holy shit, here I am. I'm over the supposed crux. And so Jordan said, hey, we had left the haul line on the 8 anchor, and he said, you should tag up the gear and you should just continue and finish the pitch. Which, I knew that Jordan was giving up his red point of the pitch, and I felt that was, he knew what I knew. We were both thinking the same thing, that if I had to go back down, there was a fairly good chance that I wasn't going to be able to climb the thing twice in a row without falling. So he was sort of giving me that, he was sacrificing his red point so that I could do it.
It was totally worth it, because I knew that if he could send that pitch, that he could climb Moonlight.
Right.
Which I thought would be, the coolest thing to witness. So, yeah, it was kind of, it was like a team effort on that pitch. Kind of old school style, because I didn't take my gear out on the way down, because I knew Mark was going to top rope up, and I thought he would just clean it. But then we ended up swapping ends, so, he was top roping up to my high point and essentially, like, yo-yoed the pitch.
Right.
Which, is total, like, old school style.
Yeah.
And then I followed it clean, so I got my red point of that pitch too, and we were psyched. And I was like, yeah, I knew right then that Mark could free Moonlight.
Well, and even then, for me, there was 4 pitches of 512 left, and one of them is a B or something like that. And the next one starts out as a flare, and Jordan was saying, okay, well, this pitch is pretty potent, and near the top it gets pretty hard. And I'm a Yosemite climber. I know how to climb those flares. I can do that stuff. I've done that stuff for decades. And so I just, the same exact thing, do your best move, and I just got into this little thing where I could just sort of wiggle my hips, and I didn't even have to use my arms to climb 25 feet of that corner. And then when I got into the corner, I was able to drop a foot and get a nice toe jam and a knee bar on the outside. And I just pulled right through it. And I went, you know what? That isn't that bad. And I thought, dang, now there's only 3 pitches left. I need to do this thing now. So I'm going, yay, baby. I was starting to go, okay, now we can't fall, and my debacle wasn't materializing.
So you finished it.
Well, we hung out there. We had a friend who was going to wrap down and take photos, and so we laid down. I mean, it's still a beautiful day, and no one on the route. You're in Zion. It's beautiful, and so it was sort of a nice ledge. We both got out our warm jackets. We both laid down on the ledge. I think we both took a little nap.
Mark likes to take naps.
Me too.
So our friend came down, and he got ready to photo, and I let off, and I cranked out the next 12A, and Jordan cranked out the next one, and then all there was the last pitch, and at this point I was going, oh, don't fuck up, don't just slip. And so I was climbing really cautiously, probably too cautiously, although probably about halfway up the pitch I started relaxing, and then towards the end I try to do all these funny things with gear that we used to do back in the old days, like loop chicken heads or thread, like a chalk stone or something. Because, people don't do that anymore. And it's just funny, I think. And so I was at the very last overhang, and there was this really good chicken head that I wanted to just loop. I thought it would be just hilarious. But I didn't have any slings, and so I was sort of bummed. But anyway, I got to the top and didn't fall.
Yeah, it was cool watching him lead that last pitch because I knew he could do it. When he was climbing all timidly, I was like, Mark, don't get in your own head. Just climb the way you know how to climb. And he eventually did. And then, yeah, it was really cool following to the summit. Definitely like the happiest I've seen Mark after climb. He's just running around all jazzed up. So fucking cool. That was so fucking fun,
That was so
just
good.
Just so much energy and enjoyment for climbing. It was great. That was definitely the best day of climbing we've had so far.
Well, it's funny, speaking of old school, the 2 times I've tried to do Moonlight Buttress, which was a long, long time ago, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to think like this anymore, but for some reason, we had it in our heads. It was kind of before you would pull a rope and red point a pitch.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Like in our heads, to free the route, you had to start at the bottom and climb it to the top and not fall. Mm-hmm. Period.
Yeah, that's not a thing anymore.
I know it's not. It may not have been a thing then either.
Right.
But it never occurred to us that you red point a pitch, you fall off and then you pull the rope and then try it again.
Yeah.
And so both times the first time I fell all over it, especially at that boulder problem off the rocker block.
Yeah.
Because no one had mentioned anything about it to us.
Uh-huh.
But the other time I fell up in the top pitches after having freed the other parts. And it's just like, oh, I'm done. That's it.
Right.
Got to come back. It was like you had to red point the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like proud style.
I don't know why. That's just what we thought. It
is limiting, though.
Yes.
And we obviously, yeah. And we have gotten good at that when we approach a route that we know has some hard pitches, giving ourselves the time and the ability to try something again if we have to, and really get it done. I've forgotten. That's been a fun process for me, is like learning how to project these hard, long routes and get them done quickly.
It was great for me because right then it really happened that I was starting to feel stronger. My feet were just fine in my shoes, and as we progressed up the route, I was feeling more confident, okay, I can do this. And I'm always, every night I go to bed and I think of all the different pitches on Freerider, and I go, okay, you've got to be really fierce here and don't let go and watch your feet and, all that kind of stuff. And so I always try to relate what I did today. I take my successes today and I just, put them into my dream of Freerider, everyone's always, well, okay, so this whole thing here, this trip, now I look at Freerider and I go, oh yeah, big deal. We climbed those, that's 5 routes in 5 days that we've done commonly already. So they're
just stacked on top of each other.
They're just stacked on top of each other. It's like I've already done it. I mean, I'm looking at it, I go, well, what the hell? The down climb from the ear, it's 511 plus, BFD. I climb 511 plus all day.
Right.
That's not that big a deal. I'll just go down, I'll do that little pinch, I'll get that little finger lock, I'll reach over to the crack, and I'll zip over there. No big deal. So it's not a big giant thing in my mind anymore.
Right.
And so
which means I've done my job.
Yeah, no, exactly. Which is exactly right. And then, so then to continue off of Moonlight Buttress, we came here to Moab, climbing on Castleton, climbing around Moab, climbing at Indian Creek. We've continued to do, multi-pitch routes that, that have 2 5-12 pitches in them, and we've banged them out. And I've gone, oh, cool. This is, for me, that's sort of hard climbing, and so I can do that. I'm not afraid of that. It was sort of like that year that I climbed all the 12As in rifle. I was just that year, I was just not afraid of 512. Even though it was 12A. Right. But I just don't want to be afraid of any kind of climbing, and that's really what I've been learning with just, Jordan making me go out climb hard stuff with just 1 day rest. Like, okay, we're going to do 4 pitches today, and 3 of them are 512, and 1 of them's 511 plus. It's like, and we got to march up to like Castleton Tower or something, which isn't like driving up to the project wall at Rifle.
So what's the process then that you're going to do? What's the deal with Freerider?
Well, one thing I want to point, it's kind of funny because I've done the Freerider, and if Mark was a modern climber now, he would have done it already also, but because of, his place and the history of climbing, he, was one of the first people to go up there and free climb on the Salathé. So he has a much more involved history with the route. And I can see that. I can see how much it means to him. And that was kind of why I agreed to support him on this in the first place, because I feel like climbing is a really selfish thing, right? And I've been very selfish with my goals and my projects, and getting friends like Callan to support me on my things. And I was kind of feeling like I wanted to help somebody else and see Mark accomplish his goals. I know how much it means to him. So, but it is this kind of funny thing because I've done it, and so I kind of know what it takes, and I know that Mark has the ability to do it. And I know how to work it down into these bite-sized pieces so that he can make it happen. He just so happens to be 63 and I'm 24. What was your question?
The question was the process. When are you going to give this thing a shot? Is it this spring or next fall?
This spring.
Okay.
We're going to go. We're going to wrap it and prep it.
Yeah.
Jordan's going to haul it, but we're going to try to haul as little as possible. We're going to go.
Well, because the route's popular now, and so that means we have to change our approach. Because you've been shut down a few times in the past because of parties trying to go from the ground, hauling all the way.
Yeah, in a big wall mode.
Right.
And so we're going to stash gear, and we're going to be just free climbing with a tag bag.
Right.
Up to the alcove, which, given our current route history, is going to be casual.
Right.
We're just going to ramble up there. So we'll just ramble right past anyone who's hauling a bag or anyone who isn't whipping out 5-10 pitches in 15 minutes.
We had that conversation early on in the beginning. Mark was really kind of, not that psyched to go back for the Freerider because of how popular it's become now and the problems that can arise from that. And so that it's not the purest style. I would like to go from the ground and not have to stash or wrap in or anything. But, that's a style point deduction I'm willing to take. So I'm like, Mark, no, we can wrap in, we can work each section, we can stash gear so that if we do run into parties, we'll be able to ramble by these people because we're not hauling because we, know the route really well. And ultimately increases his chances of being able to do it.
Right.
Well, and also is that still I want it to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Max and I were up there in '79. We hauled our bag up to Hollow Flake, and then we just went free climbing. Which wasn't done back then. We were, and we both. I remember us both remarking that isn't this freaking cool that we're way up here on El Cap and we're just up here free climbing. And so that's the way Jordan and I are. We're just going to go up there and go free climbing on El Cap.
It's going to be the funnest thing ever.
And so that's going to be just so fun. And it's going to be hard. I'm going to do the Teflon. I got to bang that one out. But I mean, as I look at it now, the enduro corner, I'll be surprised if I don't do it first try.
Yeah.
And I mean, now you got that on tape, so I'll never do it. but just given what we've done, and I mean, I'm 63 years old, but there's very few people that want it more than me.
Right on.
I'm a fucking animal that way. I want it, boy. That's, if I have any ability at all, it's my desire to want it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's, was stylistically, whatever. Like, when we did that last year on Golden Gate, like, just started on the ground and started hauling our bags up there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people look cross-eyed at me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to do what? You're just going to go ground
anymore.
up and try to, like, climb this free route on El Cap?
Right.
Like, yeah, it was unheard of anymore. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
So,
No, not too worried. Like,
I realized my mistake.
Yeah.
Halfway up it. And when I was, like, completely destroyed by hauling.
Yeah.
And Mark said when after I pitched the idea to him, I was like, I'll climb the Freerider with you. I'll make it happen. I think like 2 weeks later, he sent me a text when I was at work. He's like, Jordan, I'm all in. This is serious business. Like, I'm ready to commit a year to this thing. And that got me really psyched. And he's like, I want you to know though, it's like going to be a lot of work for you. And I was kind of thinking about it and trying to understand what he meant. And I had the realization the other day. I was like, Mark, this is zero work for me. This is just like what I do already. I'm not doing anything differently. He's like, well, you're going to have to haul. And I'm like, no, we're stashing the whole route. I'm going to have to haul like 4 pitches. It's going to be casual.
Right.
So, the way we're kind of planning to approach it is kind of just climb it like we climb all these other routes, swap leads. There's certain pitches that Mark wants to lead, a lot of the significant crux pitches, of course, but other than that, we're just going to swap leads and climb it like everything else we do.
Cool.
Hopefully team free it.
All right.
And then get back on Golden Gate. That's the plan afterwards.
And we'll basically have to watch Jordan's Instagram to find out whether this happens this spring.
And that's been I mean, I don't do Instagram. I don't do any of that stuff. And it's totally new to me. And it's just hilarious that people are following us and that they're so interested in what we do and stuff. But, again, we're having fun. We're having fun out here doing this. I mean, we're not badass. We're not making any records. I mean, we're just having fun. This is just a fun. I mean, I'm having a riot climbing with Jordan in all these new and different places, trying hard routes. And it's just fun. And we go to these beautiful places every single day. We're up Big Bend this morning, and we're up at the Bridger Jacks a couple of days ago, and it's just so freaking beautiful. And we get to go climb these things, and so we're just going to go do the same exact thing. It's going to be freaking beautiful up on El Cap, and we're just going to go free climbing up on El Cap, and it's going to be just freaking great.
And ultimately, even if we're not able to send our El Cap goals, this is a dream road trip regardless, and I think it's something we'll both remember for as long as we live.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm still sitting on the side of the road. Haven't moved an inch since the intro. Watching cars go by. After so many years out here in the desert, when you see some random car going by in the middle of the night on some dirt road and you're camped out, you're still a little suspicious and watching for brake lights and seeing if somebody noticed that you're over there. Yeah. Can't get over that, even though nothing's ever happened to me along the lines of being messed with by some stranger out here in the desert. Hopefully by the time you've heard this, there's been a positive outcome from Mark and Jordan up on El Cap. Because really, by the time I post this, they're probably up there. Anyhow, follow Jordan on Instagram, Jordan Cannon, and I think that's where all the information can go down, because his social media game is on point, unlike mine and Mr. Hudon's, although his is pretty much just darkness. And other than that, I just want to wish you a happy spring. Hope you're out there climbing safely and paying attention every minute, no matter which type of climbing you're doing, from silly things like sport climbing and bouldering to big walls. Please pay attention, and of course, check your knot.
I love you, man. I love you. I love you. I'm not even embarrassed to say it. I love you.